The woman in the dark blazer didn't raise her voice. She didn't curse. She didn't cry. She just stood there, still, calm, like silence was the only dignity left to hold on to. Behind her, the private jet she was supposed to board had already taken off. Ahead of her, two security guards stood with arms crossed, blocking the exit. And all around her, whispers, judgment. To anyone watching, it looked like a routine security check. But to her, it was something she'd seen too many times. Not just in airports, in boardrooms, in restaurants, in hospitals, in classrooms. Places where people smiled while silently saying, "You don't belong here." Her name was Ava Monroe. She was a top executive in one of the most powerful private equity firms in the country. She had built her career brick by brick, deal by deal, late night by late night. She didn't come from privilege, she earned her space. And still, on a day when every second mattered, she was pulled aside like a suspect, held without reason, treated like a threat. This is not a story about rage. It's not even about revenge. It's about what happens when a black woman chooses to fight back, not with noise, but with truth. Let me take you back to the moment it all started, and before we dive in, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching this video from? We read every message. Make sure to follow so we can bring you more powerful videos. At 6:45 a.m., Ava Monroe stepped out of the conference room like a general leaving the battlefield. Her phone buzzed. Her assistant tried to keep up. Behind her, the last words of the meeting still hung in the air, something about expansion rights in Dubai and a firm in Zurich ready to sign. But Ava didn't slow down. She had already locked that deal in her mind 3 weeks ago. Today was execution, precision, no second wasted. She adjusted her blazer, checked her watch, and said without turning, "Email the legal team, we're moving forward, and make sure legal in Singapore gets the update before noon." Her voice was low, calm, but people listened like it was gospel. Inside that room, she wasn't just the only black woman. She was the sharpest one there. Not because she talked the loudest, but because she never missed. Not a number, not a clause, not a signal across the table when a deal was about to break. She didn't command respect by asking for it. She took it by showing up 10 steps ahead. To her junior team, she was the standard. To her colleagues, competition in heels. And to the men across the table, most of them older, paler, and richer, she was the storm they didn't see coming. But even storms are on a schedule. Ava had exactly 1 hour to get to the airport. Her flight to New York was a direct hop to the next battlefield, a sit-down with 3 hedge fund giants. The kind of meeting that could shift market tides and bring in millions in new capital. There was no time for reroutes, no room for mistakes. Not today, not ever. Because Ava Monroe had worked too hard for too long in rooms built to shut her out. She didn't have the luxury of being late, or tired, or human. She only had results. The black town car slowed to a stop at the private terminal. Ava stepped out. Blazer sharp, passport ready, eyes forward. Her suitcase, light, sleek, and already tagged, was wheeled in by the driver. She was exactly on time. Check-in was supposed to take 5 minutes. Behind the counter stood Sandra Kilmer, a woman in her mid-50s with short silver hair pulled tight into a low bun. Her lavender blazer matched the mauve lipstick she reapplied every hour like clockwork. Sandra didn't smile when she saw Ava. Instead, her eyes narrowed, starting from Ava's shoes, lingering on her skin, then flicking quickly to the designer luggage as if something didn't add up. Her fingers tapped the counter, long nails clicking with a rhythm of impatience. She chewed gum, loudly, and without breaking eye contact, she popped a bubble. "Next?" Ava stepped forward, offering her documents with a calm smile. "Good morning," she said. Sandra didn't respond right away. She stared at the passport, then back at Ava, then back again, as if waiting for the photo to change, as if trying to see behind the polished image. Then came the pause, the one Ava had come to recognize. I'm going to need to flag you for a random check, Sandra said flatly. Ava blinked. Once. Excuse me? Just protocol, ma'am. Is there a problem with my documents? Sandra shrugged, one shoulder rising lazily like it wasn't her problem. They're fine. It's just random. Ava's expression didn't change. Her voice stayed smooth, but her eyes, those sharpened by years of boardroom negotiations, focused in. I fly this route twice a month. I've never been pulled for a check here before. What exactly are you checking for? Sandra raised an eyebrow like the question itself was offensive. She popped another gum bubble. We're allowed to conduct checks at our discretion. Ava leaned in slightly, not aggressive, just direct. Discretion isn't the same as policy. Please clarify which regulation gives you authority to delay a verified passenger with no cause. Sandra's lips pressed into a thin line. She didn't answer. Instead, she reached for the phone and mumbled into it. Can we get a supervisor to Gate 3? We've got a situation. Within minutes, 2 more staff appeared, one younger woman avoiding Ava's gaze, and a man in a blazer who looked anywhere but her face. They asked Ava to step aside. No shouting, no scene. Just the quiet authority of people who believed they'd never be questioned. A velvet rope unlatched. Ava was guided away, past polished marble floors, past lattes and leather seats, to a glass-walled waiting area, like a display case. She stood alone. The gate screen behind her still blinked, now boarding. A businessman walked by, eyed her briefcase, then her face, paused, then moved on with a smirk. Another woman leaned toward her husband and whispered something with a nod toward Ava, like pointing at a suspect in a crime they couldn't name. Not one person looked her in the eye, but every glance said the same thing. What did she do? She hadn't raised her voice, hadn't broken a rule. She had just existed in the wrong skin, in the wrong place, with too much confidence, and so they questioned her. And so her silence was her shield, but they mistook it for weakness. The second hand on Ava's watch completed its 30th lap. 30 minutes. Half an hour of waiting, standing, breathing slowly through the silence, while the clock stole seconds she couldn't replace. She walked back to the counter. Sandra was pretending to type, fingers tapping an empty screen. The gum was gone, but the attitude remained. Ava placed both hands on the counter, steady, her voice low. I've waited 30 minutes. I'd like a formal reason for the delay. Sandra looked up, her face a mask of boredom. We're reviewing your luggage. There was a flag. Ava narrowed her eyes. A flag? Be specific. It could be something metallic or sharp. The scanner lit up. What item exactly? Sandra shrugged. Could be a charger, a toiletry. Could be nothing. Happens all the time. Ava took a breath, leaned in, her voice cutting through the air like glass. Then show me the law. Not your opinion. Not your guess. The law that says you can hold a verified passenger without cause, without timeline, and without accountability. It was the kind of sentence that had ended careers in boardrooms. But here, it did something else. Sandra's eyes flicked sideways. Her hand went to the phone again. Security to room B, now! Within seconds, 2 uniformed officers entered. Not police. Private airport security. But their posture screamed enforcement. They didn't say hello, didn't ask for context. Ma'am, we need you to come with us, one of them said. Ava raised her brow. Am I under arrest? No, ma'am, just a precautionary screening. Then I decline. A pause. One of the guards glanced at Sandra, then said, a little firmer, Ma'am, if you don't comply, we'll have to escalate. Ava didn't resist, didn't argue. She simply nodded once and followed. They led her down a narrow hallway, past frosted windows and locked doors, into a small white room with one metal chair, a table bolted to the floor, and a mirror that didn't reflect, only watched. She placed her bag on the table. They told her to wait. No one explained anything. No one offered water. No one apologized. She sat alone, legs crossed, phone dead, eyes on the ticking clock above the door. The silence was no longer strategy. It was all she had left. And then, outside the small fogged window, she saw it. The tail of the jet. Her jet. Taxiing out. And in that second, as the engines roared to life, Ava Monroe lost more than a flight. She lost the meeting she had fought 2 years to earn, the one that could have landed her the largest acquisition of her career, the one that would now go on without her, with her absence noted and questioned. She didn't scream, didn't bang on the table. She simply closed her eyes and exhaled. The sliding glass doors at the front of the terminal hissed open, and in walked a man no one had seen coming. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a dark overcoat, silver-rimmed glasses resting on the bridge of a stern face. His stride was calm, but there was no mistaking the gravity in each step, like the building had just changed temperature. Franklin Monroe, retired federal judge, 3 decades on the bench, author of over 40 landmark rulings, recipient of 2 presidential medals, his name etched into the marble wall of the Eastern District Courthouse. And today, he wasn't in a courtroom. He was in a private terminal, looking for his daughter. He stopped at the counter, eyes locking with Sandra. "Where is Ava Monroe?" His voice was low but unmistakably authoritative. Sandra straightened, suddenly unsure of her posture. She was pulled for a random... "Don't finish that sentence unless you can quote the statute it falls under." Silence. Franklin leaned in slightly. "I spent 35 years writing and interpreting federal law. I know every comma in the Homeland Security Act. Now, unless you have legal grounds for detainment, you will bring my daughter out here. Now." Sandra glanced around, hoping someone else would intervene. No one moved. A younger employee stammered, "Sir, she's in room B. Security protocol. Protocol without cause is harassment. Delay without justification is discrimination. And this is liability." A few travelers nearby began filming. One woman whispered, "Is that Judge Monroe?" The name started to echo, carried by those who recognized it. 10 minutes later, Ava stepped out. Still calm, still silent. But her eyes softened just slightly when she saw him. He placed a hand on her shoulder, then turned back to the staff. The cameras were up now, phones everywhere, and then he said it. Not loud, but clear. "I built this country's laws, and today I saw them trampled." Cameras waited for her outside the terminal. Microphones stretched toward her like hands wanting a headline. A dozen reporters shouted her name. "Ms. Monroe, was it racism? Will you sue the airline? Do you think your father's presence made the difference?" Ava didn't stop walking, didn't blink, didn't speak. Her heels tapped against the sidewalk like punctuation. Each step, measured, final. She didn't look back. That night, her phone didn't stop ringing. One offer came from a famous political talk show. "Turn your pain into purpose," the email said. Another from a documentary team. They wanted her in a chair under bright lights, reliving it all. She didn't respond. Instead, she turned her phone off, poured herself a glass of water, and sat at the kitchen table. Just her, the hum of the fridge, and her laptop. She opened a blank page, and for the first time in days, she let herself feel everything. The way her fingers had trembled in that holding room, the way her throat had burned with unspoken fury, the way her dignity had become both shield and cage. Then she started to type. Not about Sandra, not about the airline, but about what it felt like to be judged before being seen. "The way they looked at me," she wrote, "like I was out of place, wasn't about me. It was about them, their comfort, their ignorance, their fear." And she ended the post with a single line. You don't have to yell to fight. Sometimes dignity is the loudest protest. She hit publish, then closed the laptop. No press, no announcement, no hashtags. And still, by morning, it had been shared over 1,000,000 times. The airline didn't expect the storm to come quietly, but that's exactly what made it so powerful. People didn't riot. They wrote, they tweeted, they shared. Hundreds of emails flooded into the company's inbox. Passengers from all over the country told the same story. Different dates, different flights. But always the same pattern. Too many were black. Too many were told it was random. Too many were pulled aside for precautions that never applied to anyone else in the room. The board ordered a formal internal investigation. Not because they wanted to, but because now the media had caught on. A third-party legal firm was hired. Over 5 months of security footage, passenger logs, and employee messages were reviewed. And the findings were damning. In just the past year, over 70% of the passengers flagged for random checks at that terminal were people of color, despite representing less than 20% of the total traffic. Internal chat logs showed jokes between staff. Phrases like, "Watch her bag," "Too clean," "She looks VIP, but we'll see," and one that made Ava's stomach turn. "Brown luggage, brown skin, check it anyway." Sandra Kilmer was fired immediately. Not quietly, not with severance. 2 of her supervisors were also let go. An operations manager resigned before they could finish questioning him. The airline issued a public apology, not just to Ava Monroe, but to every traveler they had treated like a problem to solve instead of a person to serve. They offered Ava a large financial settlement. She took only part of it, on one condition. "I don't need money to feel better. I need change. Put the policy in writing, make it enforceable, and don't hide it in the fine print." Ava worked with their legal team to draft a new protocol. No more vague, random screenings. Each check required documentation, supervisor sign-off, and passenger rights disclosure. Anonymous audit logs. Body cam footage. Accountability, written in ink. And when other airports quietly adopted the same model, Ava said nothing, but she smiled. Because real change doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's already boarding. Weeks passed. The news cycle moved on. Another scandal, another story. But in a quiet corner of the city, Ava Monroe sat by the window of her home office, watching rain tap gently against the glass. Her inbox was still full. Invites to conferences, requests for quotes, magazine editors asking if she'd like to write a memoir. She replied to none. What mattered most had already happened. One morning as she was making tea, her phone buzzed. It was a message. Simple, no subject line. "I worked TSA in Chicago. We saw what you did. We changed our screening forms last week." Ava stared at the screen for a long time. Then she set the phone down, sat at the kitchen table, and smiled, just a little. Not because she won, not because someone apologized, but because someone, somewhere, heard her. Not the version of her on a headline, not the version they tried to humiliate in a terminal, but the real version, a woman who never shouted but refused to disappear. She wasn't trying to start a movement. She was just trying to move forward. And somehow, that was enough. We all carry something unseen, a weight, a memory, a reason to stay silent. But sometimes just standing tall is its own revolution, and sometimes the most powerful protest is simply refusing to disappear.